Hey y'all, this is Kirok here, and welcome to my channel. This is a project that I've been wanting to work on for a very long time. I've loved YouTube for a very long time and have always wanted to get into it, and I'm in the perfect circumstances to do so. So this is kind of a mental health initiative for myself for 2024. I love video games. I love playing them. I love watching videos about them, and I know way too much about some video games and would like to share that knowledge with the world. So if you like the kind of content I make, please consider sticking around, hitting that subscribe button, liking, all that stuff. And to just, I guess, lead into it, we're going to be playing Dark Souls Remastered. I love the Souls games. I have always been a huge fan. And this was the first one I played, though I played the Prepare to Die edition. This one is the exact same as that version, except for it contains various different fixes and just quality of life improvements. It is the optimal way to play the game, even though it's kind of just the modded version of Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition. But I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. So, starting out, we are in our character creator, and I mean, you understand what a character creator is, but I do want to go over some of the aspects here that aren't super explained. Obviously, name, you can change your name, sex, you can change your sex. I am going to pick female, and then we're going to go ahead and get into class. So each of the different classes specializes in various different things. That's the whole point of there being the different options, but it doesn't really do the best job explaining what each one is. You can really kind of pick whatever class you want to pick to play the game. Like if you wanted to pick a sorcerer and then just decided you don't like sorcerer and wanted to go for like a dex build or something, you can do that. That is your choice. You are allowed to do that. But it is typically better to go between the different classes kind of based off what you want to play. So I'm going to go ahead and start by explaining the warrior. Warrior is your quality build. It's essentially what you want to pick to wield, like, weapons that maybe aren't too heavy, but they're not too light. You know, they're not considered dex weapons, they're not considered strength weapons. Good all-around build, and if this is your first time playing a Souls game, and you want to just do something that's, like, bare bones, this is a good option for you. I personally will not be picking this, because I think I have a build in mind that I'd like to do, but moving forward, the Knight class, as it says here, you get high HP and solid armor, but you don't really get much else. This is how you would build a tank if you were interested in building a tank. Tank builds can be fun, but personally, I like my tanks to do a little bit more damage than this starting out. If you find yourself having trouble in the early game, maybe pick Knight. If the heavy armor interests you, just know you're going to be doing a lot of fat rolling, and we'll get into like the different rolling types when we actually get into the game itself. But Knight is not a terrible option if you just want extra health to start the game with. Next up, we have Wanderer. This is the class you would pick if you wanted to pick a dex build. Fairly straightforward. Dex builds are amongst my favorite builds in these games. I think they are the most interesting, the most fun, and they have some really cool different weapon types. I usually pick a dex build, and I'm tempted to, though I really think I want to give my hand at something different. But if you really want to pick a very fast, agile build, you really can't go wrong with Wanderer. It's a solid choice. Now, Thief. Thief is about... Sorry, the bald character caught me off guard. Thief is fairly similar to Wanderer. It does have a little bit more dexterity, but kind of what you're speccing into this for are the critical hits. I have a hard time recommending Thief over Wanderer just because it's one extra point in dexterity, and generally speaking, it's just a little bit worse everywhere else. but you do get the Master Key. Now, the Master Key is an item you can take as a gift. We'll get into what that does when we go over the gifts, but for now, I would say if you're wanting to do a dex build, maybe don't pick Thief, just unless you really, really like the leather armor and want to start with it. Bandit, strength build. It hits things. It hits things very, very hard, and that is really, really fun in the first Dark Souls. Strength builds are very, very strong. Haha. Obvious thing is obvious, but it is true. Honestly, not a bad thing to start with if you just want to bonk every single enemy in the game. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go with a strength build, but I'm going to go over the other options here real quick before I make my full decision here. Hunter is bad. Hunter is bad. There is no reason that I would recommend that you pick Hunter over Wanderer, just because it has more well-rounded stats. Sure, maybe if you're not thinking of using any kind of magic, maybe this would be a better option, because it does have higher strength and endurance and stuff. But honestly, this is what they want you to pick if you wanted to do an archer build. Bows aren't good in Dark Souls 1. This is not Demon Souls. Bows are not cracked. They are just generally bad. So I would personally recommend don't pick Hunter unless you really just don't care about magic whatsoever and want a little bit extra there. The bow just is not beneficial to you whatsoever. It's too slow. It's too clunky. Most enemies are going to be in your face before you even get to shoot it. I'm begging you, don't try and do a bow build unless you just hate yourself. And, you know, maybe that's your cup of tea. You are playing Dark Souls. That was awful. Sorcerer. Sorcerer is Sorcerer. It's the magic build. Sorcerers specialize in sorceries. Surprise, surprise. Again, obvious thing is obvious. But there are various different kinds of magic. Sorcerer is okay in this game, but if you've played like Elden Ring and you're expecting, oh, I'm gonna go back and pick Sorcerer and it's gonna be like so broken just like it is in Elden Ring, you're gonna be a little disappointed. They're really kind of similar thing to why I said don't pick Hunter. Ranged options don't really help you because most enemies are up in your face before you'll get to use any kind of range. But if that's your cup of tea, if that's just something you want to try, maybe go for it. Again, you don't have to listen to me. It's just my personal opinion on this. Pyromancer. Pyromancer is very, very strong. Pyromancer is honestly, of all of the classes here, if you've never played a Souls-like before, or you've never played Dark Souls 1 before, pick Pyromancer. It's good. I'm going to go over the stats in a different video, but to kind of like clarify something here, sorcerers have high intelligence because sorceries scale off of intelligence. Clerics have high faith, and we'll get more into what that means later, but that's because miracles scale off of faith. Pyromancers just kind of have generally good stats all around because pyromancies don't really scale with traditional stats. They scale with a different thing called humanity, which we will get into later. It's not really a stat, even though you can see it in that bottom left corner there. But nonetheless, Pyromancer is broken. This is how I first played the game, and honestly, you really can't go wrong here. Chucking a giant fireball at people is just generally fun. Cleric. Cleric is your healer sort of class. If you really want to be a healer, I don't know why you're playing Dark Souls. There are better RPGs for playing a healer, but if it's what you want to do, again, do what you want to do. Some of the miracles are interesting and fun to use, but kind of like Sorcerer, a lot of them are long range, and the only thing I could really recommend here is if you just really want to throw lightning bolts at people, pick Cleric. Lightning bolts are very strong in this game, but like I said, magic is kind of, you know, and Deprived is if you hate yourself and you just want to pick 11 in every single stat, you know, and no armor. So yeah, again, hard time recommending it, but if it's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. Some people play this game with a USB steering wheel. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to pick what I want to play. And I'm here to tell you about the other classes. So, I do think I want to go with Bandit, because I think that a strength build would be fun, and it's not something I've really ever finished in a Souls game before, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick Bandit. Now then, gifts. Gifts are, well, they are gifts. When you pick one of these, you get it at the beginning of the game, and each of them does a various different thing, and we will go into what each of them does real quick. Goddess's Blessing. Goddess's Blessing is just like an Estus Flask, which again, something else we'll get into a little bit later, but it is a single-use item. It fully restores your HP and removes any and all status effects that you have. Not a bad starting item if you find yourself getting hit a lot. I don't personally recommend it because you can find these items for free in the game, so why would you waste your gift on something that you can't, that you can just find in the game? Same thing goes for Black Fire Bombs. They are just fire bombs, but stronger. It's kind of just okay. If you really want it, take it. I have a hard time recommending it unless you just really want to kill the first boss really quickly. Twin Humanities. Again, self-explanatory. Gives you 2 humanities. It is a good item, but again, you can get humanities throughout the game, and it really isn't that hard to get humanities. You can farm them later on. I don't really have a purpose of this. Binoculars, used to peer at faraway sights. Not very useful. Again, hard time recommending this. It's just kind of meh. Pendant, no effect. That is genuine. It does nothing. The pendant does absolutely nothing whatsoever. People tried to say, oh, well, if you use the pendant, you can access the DLC area. Oh, if you use it, you can access the secret area. No, it does jack squat. So don't pick it unless you just really don't want a starting item and don't want to pick none for some reason. The Master Key. This is the best starting item and probably the one I'm going to be picking. However, I'm going to go over what it does, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to use it for its purpose that I usually use it for. Using the Master Key opens any basic lock. Unless it has a very specific key that the lock requires, it'll just open it automatically. This is good. This is a very good thing, and it can allow you to skip some bosses. For example, I will be showing you later, there is a way to get to a further in boss by using the Master Key to go to an essentially end game area and completely skip, I think it's both the Capra Demon and the Gaping Dragon. I never fought those in my first playthrough because I skipped them. I'm going to be taking the Master Key more than likely just because I want to show those skips and I'm not picking Thief. But it is a very good item. It is very powerful, very strong. Tiny Being's Ring grants a small amount of HP. Gift from a Witch. I am going to have to actually look this one up because I don't remember what the Old Witch's Ring does. The Old Witch's Ring is something you can get in the game, but it's very difficult to get, and it just allows you to get a little extra dialogue out of certain characters that cannot speak normally. Something you might want. I'm going with the Master Key, and then I'm just going to go ahead and make my character real quick, and we're going to cut through some of this, or maybe I'll just, make my character and we'll talk during it. Dark Souls, video game made by the company From Software. It is the, I guess, successor to Demon Souls. Demon Souls failed commercially, so Dark Souls didn't. I adore this game. I like it a lot. It is known for being very difficult, and that's about really all that there is to say. We'll get into little other fun facts as we move on through the game. I love the Souls games. I love Elden Ring. I love Bloodborne. I don't love Dark Souls 2, and we'll talk about why I don't like Dark Souls 2 probably later on. I'm sure it'll come up, and I will get to bitch and complain about it then. I'm just gonna make like a default thing. Normally, I like going into the customize menu and making a monster, but this time I'm just gonna make, I guess, me. I'm not gonna work on trying to make the face look like me because the character creator in this game is from 2009. But I guess without further ado, we'll go ahead and start the game. We'll start the game. Oh, I have to name my character. I'm stupid. Sure. I'll shut up for the cutscene.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead.
I might keep that. I might keep that.
The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark sign. Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, The undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Crispy. Sorry, I'm back now. Ooh, someone dropped something in front of us. We're actually going to... That was the intro cutscene to the game. Oh, hello, Oscar. We're actually going to go ahead and cut things off here because the video is getting kind of long. So I really hope you guys enjoyed my first episode, and I look forward to making some more. If you like the video, please leave a like, comment, and maybe subscribe if you're interested, and share the videos. I would love to have more people watching. And I will see you guys next time.